Hello, beautiful souls. I am Valeria Maritza at Healing to You. I am an infinite being of light, and so are you. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to you the wonderful Elaine Glass. She is a visionary author and highly experienced master life coach. She is renowned for her transformative retreats tailored for women navigating intricate midlife transitions. Her book, Get Quiet, will empower you to get back to feeling like yourself again. Elaine's path has been marked by significant leaps of faith, understanding the profound impact of connection and compassion. She realized that true transformation occurs when people feel genuinely acknowledged and understood. She is an amazing healer. I am so excited to have met her, and I'm so excited to bring her to you so that you can feel her energy, get to hear her inspirational story, because that's what it's all about. It's about bringing you wonderful inspirational stories of healers and other light workers who are out there doing the work, and so that you can see parts of you in them, right? Because we all can do this. We are all connected to our higher selves. We are all able to connect to different realms that are unseen and to heal ourselves and others if that is what we want. And so, by bringing the different types of healers into this podcast, I am hoping to bring awareness and maybe ignite that little bit of you that you can see yourself in them, the story, how it happened, and then you can begin to really lean more into yourself as you are awakening in this time, in this period of time where everybody is just really like becoming more and more aware and just feeling different because we're all awakening, we're all remembering who we truly are. And that is an infinite soul, an infinite being of light. So, with that, I'm going to bring her in so that you can get to meet her. And don't forget to like, leave a review, and subscribe. And also share with as many people as you feel that will really benefit from hearing the stories and the messages from this podcast. And I would really, really, really appreciate it. Sending you so much love. And here is coming in the wonderful Elaine. So hello, Elaine. So glad to have you here in my podcast today. How are you?
I am amazing, Valeria. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I am so excited to have you here and share your story with the audience so they can really maybe get to see a part of themselves in our story so that they can begin to make those connections and, um, make that awareness that click, right?
That's right. That's right. We're talking about awareness today. Yes.
Awesome. So, when did you get started in your whole healing business?
Yes. Well, I would say right now, being a master life coach and energy medicine healer, it was very natural for me to be here in this stage of life because I started off as early as I possibly can even remember at 7 years old. My friend Mary came running to me on the playground, and I'll never forget this. And she was crying, and she had so much to talk about with me. And I sat and I listened, and I don't know exactly what I said, but she left happy. And that was the first moment I really saw, wow, I helped somebody. Whatever I was being and doing, that was my first glimpse. And so whether it was helping her on the playground at 7, whether it was me volunteering as a teenager in the hospital and being that same person to take care of and to nurture, and whatever I was being, whoever I was being, it helped people in their suffering. And then, going on to becoming a dental hygienist and sitting with over 40,000 patients and being dubbed the dental whisperer. But, and that's when I was like, okay, my beingness There's something special, and people really can feel the warmth and the healing in the safe space that I create. So now as a coach and as, a different type of healer in terms of using energy medicine, this is who I've always been. And I think that people can connect the dots in their own life like I have, and knowing that we come in to this world circuited a certain way. And the sooner we can find out what that is, then we will do those things and be that same person wherever we go, no matter what we're doing.
Amazing. It's so amazing to hear that you made that connection at 7 when you realize, oh, I just helped somebody. And then later on, you continue to make that connection that, there's something special here, right? Which I think like a lot of us just take it for granted and we just go about our day without thinking twice about it. So that's a really key point that you really made that connection at that age. That's incredible. I love that.
Yes, well, I wasn't always that aware, even when I was sitting with all those patients during the dental years, I knew I had a certain presence, but I think it wasn't until the end of that career that I really understood, because I woke up to the fact that, wow, it is special to actually be present with people. And that's who I've always been, is present.
Amazing. So you said you woke up. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like did you feel something? How did that happen?
Oh, well, you have to sometimes wake up in ways that don't feel so good, Valeria. So in my case, I was awake, I think, as a child and through my 20s, but then I got married and started to have kids, and life's demands started to pile on top of me, and the weight of the world just felt heavy, with lots of responsibilities and just new identity and becoming a mother. So I kind of fell back asleep to my life because I was just on autopilot. And I was just trying to make it through every day. I mean, it's hard. It's hard work being a mother. And even though I loved every minute of it, it's difficult. Then on top of that, throughout the years, I began to see that my marriage was failing. So that was a very heavy load to carry as well. So all this heaviness I'm carrying around, all this worry, do I stay in my marriage? Do I leave? What will happen to me? What will happen to my kids? Like, so much uncertainty and worry that I was carrying. And so that was my breakdown moment, that I had to wake up again to the truth of my life. So many times we really are kind of addicted to looking away at the truth of our life, throwing everything under the carpet and thinking it's just going to vanish and go away. So I had to do the very difficult work of facing and paying attention to the life I was living in order for me to change it. And I was bound and determined to change it because I wanted to be the healthiest mother, mind, body, and soul, that I could to my sons. And that was my inspiration to waking back up.
Wow, amazing. It feels like so many of us go through some traumatic experience to wake us up. So it's not there so much to make our life difficult, but is what do we do with the experience, right? And it's there to just give us that jolt, like, hey, you're in the wrong path, or actually, that's a good path, but there's so much better for you. Like, jump over here, and then we get that jolt that is quite difficult in two-dimensional world, and then all of this starts happening. So yeah, and for sure about the motherhood is the most challenging, rewarding job ever. It completely changes you.
That's right. That's right. And this waking up um, was something that I had to do. I knew I had to do it, but how was I going to? And what baby steps was I going to do to start waking up to my life? And that's been the journey I've been on for the last decade, is waking up to my life. And what I now know is that when I was asleep at the wheel and the car crashed, metaphorically, I was not doing one thing. And I was not getting quiet in my life enough to hear my soul's voice, enough to speak to the universe, have a conversation with that unseen that's always there supporting us. I had lost my connection to the unseen and all of that support that is there for me and everybody. So that's what I started connecting with.
Wow, like you literally like, here you go, boom. Wake up, Elaine.
Well, yes, because I was desperate, Valeria. I was desperate to hear the messages just meant for me. We get so distracted and so like, oh, everyone's talking and you should do this and you should do that. And then you read this and then you Google that. And then you see this on social media. And sometimes it's just like, like I just want to hear my truth. I want to hear my soul's voice guiding me to where I know it uniquely wants to travel in this lifetime. And so I got quiet. I went to a retreat center. I started walking a labyrinth. I don't know if you know what a labyrinth is or if you've ever walked a
Yeah.
labyrinth. Oh,
Uh-huh.
great. So it's a 4,000-year-old meditative tool, as you know. There's only one way in and one way out. So it's not to confuse, but it is a metaphor for life. How do we connect inward? How do we connect to the center of us? So I was metaphorically walking this labyrinth with all its twists and turns like life has for us, and walking to the center of me. Because, you always hear all the answers are within you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of bothering me, to be honest. I was like, well, how can that be? And then it's like, well, where is that center? How do I find that place where all the answers are if they're there? And then if the answers are there, then what questions do I have to ask myself to actually get to those answers? So that is the journey I went on. I was like bound and determined to get quiet, to go to the center of myself and find a way to find those answers that were just meant for me.
Amazing. And you're right. Because before I went on my own spiritual journey, I also heard like all the answers are within you. And it's like, stop it already, like, because you don't understand what it means. And it's like, why do you keep saying that? And you were just so used to pointing the finger outwards, right? Like, it must be that this happened to me, or that person did that to me, or whatever. And we keep pointing outwards. And that phrase is actually quite triggering if you're not understanding what it means. We don't understand what it means until we actually do go within us.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the very first time I got to the center of this labyrinth, because it was so quiet there in the retreat center, and I hadn't been that quiet in my environment for, I can't even remember how long. I get to the center and I hear this clear message: surrender. I was like, surrender? What the heck? Like, first of all, who was that just saying that? And like, okay, so if you want me to surrender, I can't. Like, my whole life's going to fall apart if I surrender. I'm just trying to keep everything together. Like, I'm trying to control everything and it's working just fine. Not really. I went back to my car that same day after walking the labyrinth. I turned on my car radio and the announcer was talking about surrender.
Amazing. I love the synchronicities.
And that happens all the time for me now. And that's how I know I am being supported and guided by a force that we can't even begin to imagine. It's so beautiful and so loving and always there for us.
I love that. I love that you made that connection. Like, and that's how I know now that I'm being supported, because that is always the question, especially for people who are just starting to become aware or just starting to do the inner work. It's that issue of trust, right? How do I know? How do I know? And so yes, that is a perfect way of knowing, right? It's just trusting that, hey, that's it. It doesn't look like fireworks. It looks just like this, like this little coincidences, synchronicities.
That's right. That's right. And they were happening all the time in places that you would never expect. And sometimes they would just like pop up and surprise me so much. Like I would have something that I would hear at the labyrinth, and then I would see the same. Like I remember walking a labyrinth, and I was shifting from one career into from dentistry into coaching. And I remember hearing at the labyrinth, "You are ready." Okay, you are ready. Now, everybody can access this. This is not just me. This is when you get quiet enough and get present enough to your life, you will hear these messages. The next morning, I'm driving my son to baseball practice. It's like 6:30 in the morning, which is not a time I'd normally be up on a Saturday driving anywhere. And the car in front of me, the license plate said, "You're ready."
Amazing. I love it.
Yes. So, when you get into this flow, when you get into this energy, just hold on, my friend. It will be the time of your life. You will see miracles beyond anything you can ever imagine. So if it's time for a shift in your life, if it's time that you feel stuck and lost and need clear guidance and not from Google or social media or your best friend, now is the time to tune in and be your own best friend and connect to your soul's voice. It's longing to connect with you.
So much wisdom there. I love everything you're saying, Elaine. So deep. So from there, when you decided to start your coaching business, how did you get started? How did you know what to do?
I felt like I needed a change because I saw the signs. Every time I'd walk into my dental hygiene office, I wouldn't be feeling my best. And the little room that I was, kind of confined to felt like a mini prison all of a sudden. These little mouths I'd been working on for over 20 years, I felt like a prison, like it just this is prison like closing in on me. Even my scrubs were feeling tight on me. I mean, it was like I was the Incredible Hulk, just wanting to like burst out of that environment so bad. But you're right. What was I going to do? Who was I being all these years? And that's when I connected the dots, because I went into my dental hygiene world in the last 3 months. I really took a bird's eye view of who was I being? What were my skill sets? And that's when I connected the dots to, you can help people. Just take away those instruments. You've been life coaching people for your whole entire life and didn't even know it. And now you just need, some certification to organize all these thoughts and create some tools to help people in a different way, in a much more expanded way. So obviously, I kept my dental hygiene job because at that point, I was a single mom trying to, just live paycheck to paycheck. So I couldn't just get up and leave my job. But I went to life coaching school at night. I got my certification. And it's like the minute I sat in that first class, Valeria, I I wrote on the top of my paper that first class in life coaching school, I am home. I just knew it. I had listened enough and trusted and had the courage and the confidence to make that leap. And it was the best feeling ever. And it was soon after that, about a year after that, that I left dental hygiene and I started my coaching practice.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love that. Yeah, I am home. That feeling, because I went through a very similar thing. I was a teacher for 15 years, and I remember the last 2 years I was done, and I was feeling the same way. Like, what is the purpose? I wanted to make a big difference, and I don't see that happening, and there must be something else. And you're gonna laugh because I started thinking, I think it was November, and I was like, I think I want to work from home. I want to do that. And I was thinking, what kind of job could I do from home? And I was really thinking this. Then in January, I told one of my colleagues this, I think I really want to go and do something from home. I don't know what. And then COVID hit, and everything closed down, and I found myself working from home. And I was like, I mean, yes, it was a very panicky way because of what was happening. But I was like, I can't believe I manifested this. Like, wow, like, and here I am doing this. And then I worked from home for about that whole year, and it was really heavy. It was heavy because I was teaching kids who didn't want to put their screens on, so I'm talking to a screen full of black with names. I would ask questions, nobody would answer, and I just had to keep going because I was teaching and this was my job. And then by then I had started doing the work, and I knew I wanted to be a healer. And I started thinking, wow, look at this. I'm getting paid to practice what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be doing this from home, and I'm going to be talking on the internet. And I had to do this like every single day for, like, all whatever classes I had each day, which were like 5 to 7, depending on the day. And it prepared me for what I was doing. And it was like, wow, look at this. Like, I'm just sharing this story because I know there's so many people out there who are already feeling the constrictions and wanting to leave their day job for something bigger. And they're like feeling really heavy and they don't want to go to work, but it's still their bread and butter, as it was for us. And so we kind of have to like grin and bear it, but grin and bear it. But but look at the positive. Look at what it is that you're learning there or gaining there while you are transitioning, so that you can really be in that state of gratitude at all times, so that you can move on to what you're visualizing, right? Or envisioning for yourself.
Well, I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yes, you were in preparation. We're all in this preparation for our future. And we don't know it sometimes. Sometimes we feel really stuck in that preparation, but it's still preparing you for your greatness and everything that you are meant to do in this lifetime. And the thing that really helped me a lot in the preparation, when you don't feel like your life is moving forward like the way you want it to, there's also something you can do, and that is build your courage and build your confidence. It's a great time to do that. And the way I did it for me, I decided to do what I called the out of the box challenge. And every month for 1 year, I did something that I was curious about and that would challenge me a little bit, like kind of out of my comfort zone. And so that year was so transformational for me. And, I started off with things that, I look back and it's so funny. I started off with Toastmasters, if you're familiar with Toastmasters, which is a organization that helps people public speak. And that's like my biggest fear. It was my biggest fear back then. But there I was signing up, thinking like, I'm just going to put myself out there and re-engage in life, try to find confidence and courage to do these things that I was curious about. And so that was that was like that January. And every month I did something just like that I was curious about. Well, after 12 months of doing that, I had learned a lot. But mainly I had the confidence and the courage to then leave dental hygiene and leap into coaching and start that practice. The fun thing too, I have to say, is I also met my fiance that year because I was doing the things in alignment to my soul, which I define alignment as in right relationship with yourself. You're no longer betraying yourself or lying to yourself. You're being courageous. And I had put myself in a retreat and to build my business, and he was there and I met him there. So if you're trying to find love again, or just for the first time, stay aligned with the truth of who you are, and you do you, and you will find that person along that path. I just know it.
Yes, and also because when we go back to being aligned with who we actually are, we're happy, right? Because when you went to that first class, you're like, I am home. Like, that feeling of like, oh my gosh, like the joy. And when we tune into that feeling and frequency of joy, then, we are attracted to others and others are attracted to that. And we're able to match the frequency to the perfect person, right? That can come into our life and be a romantic partner if that's what we're looking for. Whereas when we're not in alignment, then if you do find somebody, it's also going to be someone who's not aligned with you. It's not going to be the right partner. So yes, so
That's right.
true and so important.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, yeah, so now I feel like I'm living my dream life. It's taken a long time, but that's life. And now I want to help people so it doesn't have to take them a decade that it took me. And so I usually help women who are feeling stuck and lost, who want to move their life forward in a direction that feels scary, just like I did for myself. And it's very, very rewarding.
So amazing. I love this story. So um now that you're doing this job and you're fully in alignment with who you are and really using all of your gifts um to help others, um what kind of things do you have going to show people, like how can people work with you?
Yes, well, I actually, throughout all of my experiences with my coaching clients, realized that there is, and not only their experiences, but my journey as well, I realized and connected the dots to how to get to the center of yourself. So I had so much evidence from others and my own life that I just wrote a book about it called Get Quiet.
I see
So
if that's there.
that's what's going on in my life right now. And I'm thrilled about it. I'm thrilled that I'll be able to help and reach more people based upon this book. And so this book really is, the subtitle is 7 Simple Paths to the Truth of Who You Are. So I explain that each path is a way to get back to the center of who you are. So let's, for example, the first path to getting to the center of who you are and hearing that soul's voice is to connect and nurture our bodies. So I remember when I was feeling just a lot of loss, a lot of grief from my divorce, and I couldn't even move my body. It felt like I was just my energy was so stuck. And one day, it's like your spirit just like moves you. And I said to myself, I need to just take a few steps, just a few steps, just start walking. And that's how we start. We start shifting our energy, and we first start shifting it in our bodies. So that's the first path. The second path is getting the health of your environment where it needs to be. So that could mean the food in your refrigerator. That could mean the people in your life, your relationships. That could mean who's sleeping in your bed with you. I mean, it's the whole gambit of your environment and making sure that your environment is healthy and thriving. because that's the heart energy. When our environment is healthy, our hearts are open. And when anything in our lives and our environment feels constricted, it's the same thing. Our heart, like the walls just go up around the heart energy. And that's how I teach it. So, and there's 5 more or 6 more paths. So that's what I explain in the book. How can we get to the center of who we are, hear the messages that are just meant for us?
That is wonderful, wonderful to have something written in a specific way that we can follow along to get ourselves out of that place. Because there's so many people right now who are waking up, becoming aware, and they feel stuck and they know there's something else and they're trying to get there and they don't know how. So yeah, it's a wonderful tool to have that all written. This method that you came up with, did it come through as you were working, or is it something that you kind of downloaded or your guides gave you, or did you channel it, or how did that come about?
Well, it was a method that I intuitively went through myself to try to get unstuck. Like, I've got to move my body, I've got to nurture my body. Then all of a sudden I started cleaning and clearing out my clothes that were, old or dated or didn't fit anymore. And then I started like working on my mindset. I mean, that's the third path, clearing and clearing out your head and all the crazy thoughts that, race. And so I just intuitively was going through all these steps myself. And then I noticed that my clients were going through the same steps on their own. So this is a very intuitive process that I don't think anyone has really defined before, no less put together and compiled. So I think that when readers really read this book, they're going to be like, oh, that makes so much sense. And they will be able to see where they are on the path and what is next to come for them. So it's very intuitive, especially for women. We just know this is our way, to clear and clean out everything that we hold, all the clutter, all the worry, everything that weighs heavy on us. It's our way to just cut through all the noise and finally get to the center of who we are. So to answer your question, it was very intuitive. But what I didn't see coming, Valeria, was there was a quieting to the point in my life where I almost got to the state of no mind. And you know this.
Jesse Spencer always speaks about it. I follow him a lot, all of his stories of transformation. I just love listening to them whenever I need some type of encouragement.
And that is when our intention and our heart are so in alignment. And we can sink into this quiet. And actually, then, like you say, that's when the downloads come. That's when the ability to channel. I mean, we're always channeling, but it's too noisy to even hear what it is that, God or our muse or whatever we call that energy that's greater than us is wanting to connect and give us. Those are our gifts. They're just waiting to be downloaded through us. But we have to be quiet enough to hear and listen. And
Yeah,
so I had gotten so quiet that one day I started channeling these 8 energy points. And they came in so clear and like so fast. I was just out for a walk one day, and all of a sudden it just starts coming in, and I'm going, oh my God, what is happening? And I just captured all the information. And so now I put that also in the book, Get Quiet, because each path, I associated one of those energy points for each path. And so now it's not only the intuitive process that I spoke about earlier, but it's also giving you this body scan to help tune into your body to see where it needs attention and healing.
that's amazing. I love that story. So we're talking about two different words, which we and probably our audience um knows about. But for someone who is just starting to become aware and is not too much into the woo-woo stuff. Um, how can you explain to them what intuition is so that they, because we all have it, but some people who are just kind of like watching, they might say, yeah, well, they're intuitive, but I'm not. When we know that's not true. We all are. So what is there something that you can say to the audience that will make them click and understand that, oh, that's what it means. Yes, I do have that type of thing.
Yes, well, that's a great question. And everyone defines it a little bit differently. I
Mhm.
really feel like to intuit, to tune in to spirit, to something greater than us, outside of us. That is what intuition is. But the intention is we must trust that voice as well. So, who is that voice? Where is it coming from? Well, I believe that it is our soul's voice guiding us. It is the life force energy, because we're all energy, speaking to us very clearly. And the difference about this voice and intuition, and the way that you can actually be able to know it's really intuition and not just your overthinking mind, is that it's very gentle when it comes in. It's very subtle. It's very loving, just like a mother's sweet voice. It's never forceful. It's never angry. It's just like, oh, I just heard something. I don't know where that came from. That's your soul's voice. That's your intuition. And sometimes we ignore it. Sometimes we ignore it to the point that it really causes us a lot of suffering. So this is something that when we really get quiet and tune in to our intuition, can make our lives magical and successful in all the ways that you would personally define success for yourself.
Thank you for that explanation. I think that was great. Yeah, I think everybody can relate to that. And yeah, I mean, I can attest. I remember when I was younger and I was going down the wrong path with a particular partner, and my intuition was like, it's wrong person, wrong person, wrong person, from all different directions. And I didn't listen. And yeah, I felt really hard. And now I can laugh about it now, but that's what it feels like. It's like you just know. It's kind of like either that gut feeling or that thought or that whatever it is that's coming up for us, right? And that's the intuition letting us know. And when we don't listen, then it's like, all right, here you go.
Yes. And every woman has felt it, because every woman has felt unsafe in some way and didn't know like why, and didn't know why and where that was coming from, that feeling of unsafety. Like you just got in a car with an Uber, or you're with a man on a date and you just don't know, something's a little off. But we're always trying, I think, as women, to be kind and to be like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, or something that overrides that still wise voice inside of us that's saying, hey, pay attention, over here. And so once you have too many moments where you don't pay attention, you're like, okay, I surrender. I'm listening. But we always have to be reminded. We always have to be reminded, because we always say, oh, I knew it. My gut just was telling me, but I ignored it.
Yes, yes, the intuition is always right. When did I hear this? I heard this very recently, which is interesting that we're talking specifically about this today, is that the intuition is that feeling of like, um, do this or don't do that. And then when we go along with it, it always turns out good. And then when we don't listen to it, it mostly always turns out not so good. And so um just going back, like thinking back of like all the times that you had that little voice, that intuition, come up for us and we listen and how it worked. And then when you didn't, that's your proof. Like begin to make those connections and think back of like the times that you didn't listen and what happened, and the times that you did listen and what happened.
Exactly. And these are great, when we are waking up to our lives, when we are paying attention to our lives, intuition is a great thing to journal about. I mean, I think journaling is the best therapy anyway. For me personally, I've kept a journal since I was 15 years old. So it helps me process things and think through things. And so it's good to journal those thoughts of intuition so that you can look back and say, I listened to it or I didn't listen to it. And you begin to build that muscle of confidence around intuition. You also want to talk to maybe other women friends about intuition so that you're bouncing those ideas off of each other. So you don't feel like you're going crazy or you don't feel like you're in this woo-woo world, alone. So I would recommend that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. I also love journaling. Although I almost never go back to read it. For me, it's more of a therapy of getting it out. Almost like whatever I'm writing on is listening to me. So it's my own private therapist, which is I can dump it all on it, and then that's it.
I love that. It goes back to this idea of holding. We have to have something else hold our emotions and hold and just do that dump, and that's the release. And I love that. That's why I'm so passionate about journaling. In fact, um, that's how I wrote Get Quiet. It's from all of my insights and journal entries, all compiled, and I ended up having a lot there, enough for a book. So journaling is a great way to do a lot of things.
I think that anyone who's ever kept a journal, especially if they continue to do it, that they hadn't thought like, oh, this could be a book. You know what? It can.
Oh
There's a
yes,
lot
I
of
would.
wisdom there.
Yes, 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 and please share your wisdom, please share the wisdom. And because I think it's the confidence to know that there really is something special, that we all have a message to give to people. And you may say, well, oh, that's been said a million different ways, a million different times. Yes, that's true, but it's never been shared by you, by your soul, by your essence. And everyone is a messenger for somebody. And if you have a message to share with the world, please know you will have people listening because it's you that's sharing the message.
Absolutely. There's been so many times that I had a message, right? Whatever it was, and I would say it like in my group. And then I would hear somebody else in a different groups at different times say the same exact thing through their own words. And then I'm listening. I'm like, oh, that's what I just said. Like, but it's so different, right? It's like it's the same exact thing, but their expression is so different. And so that's their signature, right? That's their own signature that speaks to different energies, to different people who are resonating with that frequency of those of those words linked together, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I love it. So where can we get the book?
Well, you can get quiet at getquiet.com.
Amazing.
And if you pre-order now, you get 2 amazing bonus gifts. You can download and access the first chapter and read it. And there's also a beautiful 6-minute message and meditation from me that it's beautiful. It's set to this beautiful music. You can just put your earbuds in and lie down and quiet and just slip away to the inner parts of you and connect. So those are the 2 bonuses that you'll receive.
Amazing. So it's a 6-minute recording.
Yes, it's a 6-minute recording as one of the bonuses on getquiet.com. And then you can also find me at my personal website, and that's elaineglass.net.
Awesome. I love that the one of the gifts is that 6-minute meditation because I know from experience that we're also busy, quote unquote. And a lot of times we have so much resistance of beginning to do the work. And I know that for me, when I first started, it was like, I do not have time to meditate. I can't do it. Not, I don't have time. I'm just busy from morning to night. Then I'm too tired. Like, I mean, go on and on and on. But everyone has 6 minutes, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
I would encourage you to go ahead and get that and start your own healing right away. Because if you've been looking for something to really get you to begin to quiet down and begin to connect to your higher self, to your soul, this is a great gift to, that is set specifically for that purpose. And it's only 6 minutes. I mean, everybody can take 6 minutes in the day and just do it so you can begin to create that relationship with yourself. So thank
That's
you,
right.
Elaine. That's amazing.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yay. Um, is there something else you want to share with us? Anything you want to tell the audience? Um, feel free to go ahead.
I I appreciate that. I would love to have told my younger self who was struggling to know, and I want to tell anyone listening right now that you are not alone. You have a whole spirit team behind you. It is safe for you to trust the unseen. You are never alone, and you will be guided to where your soul is wanting to go in this lifetime. And that's exciting.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. Um, so many people needed to hear that. It just feels like, oh, and if you're hearing this now in your present or later on, as you're catching this podcast later on, this is your present. It feels like this is a really powerful message for anyone who's hearing it now. So yeah, you're never alone. Amazing.
That's right.
Yay. Well, it's been so amazing having you and hearing your wonderful energy. I just feel so calm just hearing you. So I know exactly what you're talking about with you helping that 7-year-old and then your patients when you were working for the dentist. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling it just hearing your voice. Like the frequency of your voice really has um this calming, soothing, kind of like coming home energy that is just drawing you in. So I thank you for sharing your energy. This is a really amazing, great experience. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a delight to be with you here today.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say our goodbyes. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast with anyone that you think will really benefit from hearing the messages that you just heard, or so they can get the beautiful free meditation when you pre-order the book, and all of those things. And then I will put all of the information of Elaine Glass underneath in the description so that you can find her easier in case you didn't get to jot it down when she said it. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.